Well, hello everybody. Going to give you a little introduction here to the MySports universe pro wrestling I have set up. Me personally, was a wrestling fan as a kid, and then kind of lost my interest at the point when it started getting a little ridiculous in the early 90s. Brief interlude in the late 90s during the Monday Night Wars where it was worth watching, and then really not familiar with the newer stuff, but I've tried to set up a classic universe here that we can play out and watch along if you like. I'm going to give you guys the layout. It is in year one, although I've had a few years that I've skipped through to get everything laid out the way I want, but basically it's going to be listed as year one here, as these are how we have it set up now. There are four major shows, in essence, or four brands that you can put titles on here in WWE 2K17. So we've got WCW with Monday Nitro, their main show. You've got WWE Raw on Tuesdays. You've got ECW, which I'll explain in a minute, on Wednesdays. NXT on Thursdays. And then what are in essence secondary shows for WCW and WWE, Friday and Saturday. However, they are major shows on the schedule because they host their own titles. So go ahead and lay this out for you as to how I have it work, and when you watch the remaining broadcast, if you follow along, you'll be able to see. Basically what I'll do is I'll probably broadcast intermittently during the weekly shows. I will definitely have a full broadcast of each and every pay-per-view, and I'll basically just lay it out for you how I have these rosters set up. How's the calendar? We'll take a look at the universe and way the shows are laid out. Basically the roster, which I guess is the first thing I should show you. A lot of old school wrestlers through here. Downloaded as many as I could get. It's basically full. Created many of the best all-time tag teams here. Along with a few I threw together to, cover deficiencies. In essence, the Islanders become Jimmy Snuka and Haku, and so on and so forth. Now, I should give you the layout of the shows here, and championships. WCW has the World Heavyweight Championship, obviously. The main one. They've got the United States Championship and the World Tag Team Championship, WCW World Tag Team Championship. Main titles here on Raw, and as I said, there's two shows each for those two, so we'll explain that in a minute. But you've got the WWE Championship, the WWE Light Heavyweight Championship, the tag title, and the women's title. And then their secondary titles is the way the Saturday night's main event show is set up, is where the Intercontinental, the European title, is available. Same thing with WCW here. They just simply split the World Heavyweight Championship across the two shows, and they have the WCW Cruiserweight Championship along with the tag title. ECW has the ECW Championship, the ECW World Television Championship, and the ECW World Tag Team Championship. NXT has the NXT Tag Title and NXT Women's Championship. Now I'm going to explain the rosters here for those of you following along, and not quite getting necessarily what I'm doing here, so let me go ahead and explain by going through the roster. Among the 250 something wrestlers, basically what I did is I kind of divided it up in my own way, in my mind, but here's how it works. You've got the four major brands: WWE, WCW, ECW, and NXT, which is only on here as NXT because they have their own championships, its own lineage and stats, so I can put it on there. Basically, when you're looking at the rosters, and I'll pull the shows up again with the calendar so you can see what I'm talking about. WCW is basically old school NWA wrestlers, along with the vintage Monday Night Wars era 90s WCW. WWE is old school guys who were primarily affiliated with WWE, and Monday Night Wars guys, right about the same time that they absorbed, 2001, give or take, turn of the century. That's where the WWE cutoff is. ECW are the handful of guys who were mainly known ECW specific wrestlers: Taz, Sabu, the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer. However, the difference here would be that guys who were affiliated with a few defunct major organizations like AWA guys, guys that spent a lot of time, most of their careers in Mid-South or Memphis area, which was big on its own. Anybody that was outside the WWE, WCW, NWA immediate circle that is also included, in the ECW, guys who spent a lot of time internationally, Abdullah the Butcher, guys like that. Stan Hansen helps to beef up that roster too. And NXT are the new school guys, any guys whose WWE careers began since unification, in essence. So basically what you have here is these rosters tend to overlap quite a bit. And I'll show you what I mean. Take Abdullah the Butcher. He's on the WCW and WCW sub show as well there because he was an NWA wrestler for a long time, but he's also on ECW, acknowledging his international and the fact that he bounced around. Andre, in my mind, or at least this version of Andre, is a WWE guy, so I keep him right there. Road Warriors or WCW. Some of this may change over time. I may flip it around, but as you can see, newer guys are NXT guys. Hitman will always be WWE in my mind. I know they did time in WCW, but it's primarily about the vintage era, and then we'll let it play out, make some changes over time. And see how it works out. As of right now on the calendar, in week 2, got an ECW show coming up. Some of the latest news. I'll give you, before each broadcast, I'll give you a little look here, like on tonight's show coming up, what the recent news is, current rivalries. There's your current championship standings for ECW. And I'll be coming back on here in about 10-15 minutes with a ECW show, so hang tight.